I never thought a simple decision, opening an old drawer, would change the way I saw my family forever. I never expected a dusty cassette tape to hold the kind of truth that shatters a person quietly from the inside out. When my grandmother, Lily Henderson, passed away, the house didn't feel like a house anymore. It felt like a museum of memories I didn't fully understand, a place where every object seemed to breathe a little, whisper a little, ache a little. And even though her voice was gone, the silence she left behind didn't feel empty. It felt loaded, like something was still waiting to be heard. I was the last one who still visited her regularly. My parents lived 2 states away, and my uncle, her firstborn son, had disappeared 20 years ago. No calls, no letters, no apologies, nothing. My whole life, I grew up knowing she had a son who simply walked away. Family gatherings never included him. Birthdays, holidays, hospital scares, he never showed. I knew his name only from the one photograph she left on her dresser, a young man in his 20s with tired eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. My mother never liked to talk about him, and Grandma Lily changed the subject every time I brought him up. I figured it was just pain, pure, old pain that never healed. But the day after her funeral, I felt this pull to go into her room one last time. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was something she wanted me to feel. Her door was still exactly the way she left it, slightly cracked, like she never really closed herself off from anything. When I walked in, the smell of lavender hit me, the same scent she kept in those tiny bowls around the room. Her bed was neatly made, as it always was, but something about that neatness felt wrong now. It felt like the room was holding its breath. I sat on her bed, and that was when I noticed the drawer. It wasn't one I usually opened. It was the small one on the left side of her nightstand, the one she used to reach into whenever she needed her glasses or her rosary. But now, for the first time in my life, I saw a corner of something sticking out, just barely. A piece of old paper yellowed at the edges. My curiosity, or maybe my longing for connection, made me slide the drawer open. Inside, there were letters tied with a faded ribbon, photographs, and at the very back an old cassette tape inside a transparent case. On the front, in her handwriting, the same delicate, careful handwriting she used to write my birthday cards, were the words, "For him and for the truth." I didn't know who him meant. My mind went straight to my uncle. When I held the tape in my hand, something in my chest tightened. There was weight in that tiny rectangle, more than plastic and tape. It felt like she had left a part of herself inside it. I didn't even know she owned a cassette recorder. I didn't even know anyone still used tapes. But the moment I saw her handwriting, I understood that this wasn't a diary. This was a confession, and it was meant to be found. I didn't play it right away. I sat there staring at it, feeling like I was holding a piece of her heart. A heart that had been cracked by abandonment, by the silence of her oldest son, by the absence that never stopped hurting. She told me once, just once, that losing someone who is still alive hurts differently. It's a wound that doesn't bleed, but never closes. If this tape had anything to do with him, then maybe it held the answer to the question she never wanted to say out loud. Why did he leave? And why did she still keep his photograph? I looked around the room, the light coming through the curtains, the same warm orange glow she loved so much. Everything felt suspended, like time was waiting for me. I went to the living room, found an old cassette player in one of her storage boxes, wiped the dust off it, and carried it back to her bed. My hands were shaking a little, not from fear, but from the sense that I was about to meet a part of her I had never known. When I pushed the tape in and pressed play, there was a soft click, followed by static, and then her voice, her real voice. "Hi. If you're listening to this, then I guess I'm no longer there to explain things in person." I froze. It was her tone, gentle, warm and fragile. The tone she used when she talked to me during late-night tea, the tone she used when she wanted me to feel safe. "I'm talking to you, my son, or maybe to my grandson, if he's the one who found this first." I swallowed hard. She knew. Somehow, she knew I'd be the one to find it. "I don't know who you'll become by the time you hear this," she continued, "but there is something I need to say before I leave this world, something I couldn't say face to face, something I've carried for decades." Her breath wavered in the recording. I could hear it. "I know you think I abandoned you, but that isn't the truth." I blinked. Abandoned him? My entire life, the story was that he abandoned her. But now, her voice was rewriting everything. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." The words played in my mind long after the tape continued. "Your father? Your uncle? He didn't leave because he wanted to. He left because I pushed him away." My pulse thumped in my ears. I replayed those words in my head. She pushed him away. None of it made sense. Growing up, I only ever saw her softness, her warmth, her patience. I couldn't imagine her pushing anyone away, especially her firstborn son. She continued, her voice trembling. "You were 15 when you told me you hated me. You said I never understood you, and maybe you were right. I was young when I had you, too young to understand my own pain, let alone yours." The tape crackled softly. "You were hurting. And instead of helping you, I punished you. I demanded perfection. I raised my voice. I used silence as a weapon. That silence, it pushed you further than I realized." I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, completely absorbed. "You left the house after our fight about your father, the night you discovered the truth I never wanted you to hear, and I let you walk out. I told myself you'd come back. I told myself mothers don't lose their children like that. But I was wrong. And every day that passed, the guilt grew." Her voice broke. "I didn't tell anyone, not your brother, not your wife, not your son. I didn't tell the world that you leaving was my fault, not yours. I let them believe the wrong story because I was too ashamed of the real one." I felt the sting of tears in my eyes. My grandmother, my gentle, giving grandmother, had been carrying this weight for decades. And she had kept it hidden beneath her smiles, her warm hugs, her steady voice when she read me bedtime stories. She carried guilt like it was her shadow. She continued, "You struggled with addiction. You struggled with depression. And I didn't know how to help. Back then, we didn't talk about these things. We pretended. We hid. And I forced you to hide your hurting." There was a soft sound. Maybe her adjusting the recorder. Maybe wiping tears. "The night you left, you asked me why I never defended you, why I always compared you to your younger brother. And the truth is, I was scared. Scared of losing you the same way I lost my husband." My heart clenched. I had never heard her talk about my grandfather like that. He died when I was a baby, but she never shared how deeply she struggled afterward. "Your father left us slowly," she said. "His body was here, but his soul faded long before he passed. I watched him change, lose himself, lose his joy, lose me. When you began showing the same signs, I panicked. I tried to control you, thinking that would save you. Instead, it pushed you away." Silence. Long enough that I thought the tape had ended. Then, "I searched for you, for years, quietly, secretly. I wrote letters I never sent. I kept your room exactly the same for a decade. I even talked to you sometimes when I was alone, pretending you were listening." I pressed a hand to my chest. "I don't know if you're still alive," she whispered. "And that is a kind of grief no mother should ever feel. But if this tape reaches you, or reaches your son, I want you both to know the truth." I felt her next words before I heard them. "I never stopped loving you. I never stopped waiting. I never stopped hoping you would come home, even if it was just to say goodbye." My throat tightened. And if my grandson is the one listening, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I never told you the whole story. I wanted to protect you from the pain, but maybe all I did was hide the wounds that shaped our family. A shaky breath. Don't hate your uncle. He didn't abandon me. I abandoned him first. I paused the tape. I couldn't breathe. All my life I'd been told a lie, not maliciously, but out of shame, out of fear, out of heartbreak. My grandmother wasn't the victim. My uncle wasn't the villain. They were two people trapped in pain that neither of them knew how to speak out loud. When I pressed play again, her voice softened even more. I kept one more thing, in the box under my bed, his letters, the ones he did write. He tried to come back, 3 times, and every time I was too proud or too afraid to forgive. Maybe if I had opened my door, things would have been different. I froze. He tried to come back 3 times. Everything inside me shifted. Everything I believed twisted into a new shape. There's a letter in there, she said, addressed to you. I didn't know when to give it to you. Maybe I was waiting for the right time. Maybe I was waiting for courage. She let out a fragile exhale. If you find it, read it with an open heart. He loved you even from far away. Then came the part that broke me completely. I hope you forgive me. And I hope you forgive him too. We're all just walking wounds, trying to love without hurting each other. Her voice faded. I love you. And I'm sorry this is the only way I could tell the truth. The tape clicked, stopped. I sat there for a long time, letting her words settle into the quiet space of the room. My grandmother was gone, but for a moment her voice had returned. For a moment she felt alive. When I finally stood up, my legs felt weak. I walked to the box under her bed and pulled it out. Inside were bundles of envelopes worn from time, ink smudged from tears, hers or his, I would never know, and beneath them a smaller envelope with my name on it. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter from my uncle, the uncle I never met, the uncle I had been taught to resent. My boy, it began, I don't know you, but I think about you every day. I closed my eyes, letting the words hit me like a warm, painful wave. I wanted to come back. I tried. But sometimes the person you want to be isn't strong enough to fight the person you became. The letter wasn't long. It wasn't eloquent. It wasn't perfect. But it was honest. I hope one day you hear my side of the story. Not to excuse me, but to understand me. And I hope your grandmother tells you too, if she ever finds the courage. She deserved forgiveness just as much as I did. I felt tears spill. She loves you more than anything. Don't let our mistakes make you hard. And at the bottom, if life ever brings you to me, I'll be waiting. I sat on her bed, holding the letter in my hands, knowing that somewhere out there, maybe alive, maybe not, my uncle was part of my story. And now, for the first time, I understood the pain threaded through our family, the misunderstandings, the wounds, the silence. My grandmother kept this secret to protect us, but secrets don't protect. They fracture. They conceal love until it becomes indistinguishable from absence. When I looked around her room again, everything made sense. The old photographs, the preserved keepsakes, the way she always paused at the sound of the mailbox, the way her eyes drifted to the window on quiet evenings. She had been waiting for him, her whole life. And now, she was asking me not to repeat her mistakes. If this story is touching you, if it reminds you of someone you lost, someone you miss, someone you wish you could speak to again, then listen to me. The same way I listened to her tape, reach out, call them, forgive someone, or forgive yourself. Broken families don't heal by accident. I folded the letter and placed it gently back into its envelope. Then I whispered something I hoped she could hear wherever she was. I forgive you. And I meant it. I don't know if I'll ever find my uncle. I don't know if he's alive or if life took him somewhere I'll never reach, but I know one thing. The truth didn't break me. It freed me. It freed all of us. And maybe that was her final gift.